My name is Liz Anderson. I am the editorial lead for Junktopia for this pack, as well as a general writer, and I am also the host voice for Quicksort. I have previously worked as a writer for Jackbox Party Pack 7 and 8, and for the Party Pack 9, that is the one that we're working on, right? I came to Chicago to do live comedy. I did a lot of improv, I did a lot of sketch writing and stand-up, trying to get kind of broad-based for like the kind of comedy that I wanted to do and the kind of comedy writing that I wanted to do. My job immediately before Jackbox was being a writing fellow at The Onion, and it was a really wonderful experience and taught me a lot of how to write in a certain editorial voice and style, but also how to write a lot, doing a lot of drafts and doing a lot of content generation and not being too precious about it. Very luckily, at the beginning of 2020, a writing position at Jackbox became open. An editorial lead in kind of changes from game to game. It couldn't be a very involved and busy position, or it can be just sort of a more overview position. For Junktopia, as an editorial lead, my responsibility was generating all the image content, all of the beautiful antiques that you will be searching through and bidding on, and coordinating the prompts for each of those images, as well as the overall editorial tone and script for the game as well. For our game in Junktopia, we have the two settings. There's the presentation mode and present for me mode, and we had a lot of discussions about which one of those should be the default mode. How would people want to play more frequently? It honestly went back and forth, and I think right now the default is present for me. It depends on the group, it depends on the friend group, but I think a lot of that discussion had to do with us play testing over Discord and doing a lot of our milestones over Discord and seeing how did the major stakeholders choose to play and what was hitting and what wasn't. If a person is presenting themselves and everyone's muted, how can we know if something is actually funny? How can we know if the game beats are being hit at the right time? Whereas if you do present for me, everyone's kind of even playing field. But I think a lot of games have to deal in some way with that dichotomy of what may be good for a streamed game may not be perfect for an in-person game, but you need to find the game that will be good enough for both types instead of extremely good for one type of game. So we've talked about in the past of a lot of social deduction games, including Faking It, are just simply not good for streaming. And when we pitch sequels or pitch new games, that is increasingly a concern. For Quicksort specifically, I have to give so much credit to Paris Newton, who is the editorial lead for that game. Quicksort is a trivia game, first and foremost, which not only are you responsible for the tone and prompts and content for the game, but you're also responsible for the accuracy of every single question. So Paris has had to go through literally hundreds of timelines to make sure that everything is accurate and also fits within the general voice of the game. The other thing that editorial leads are responsible for is casting and recording the host. I have never hosted before, so Paris and I spent a dozen hours, it shook out to, of recording in the booth here at Jackbox, doing a lot of the general host lines, but also recording each and every prompt. So any little line that you hear our host Nicholas Nakolis, I believe his name is. Anything you hear him say, it went through yours truly.
The blocks are locked. Did you come out on top?
You'll notice that in Quicksort, the host is a robot, so the verbiage and the timbre kind of needs to stay the same. So for a lot of prompts, once we figured out like the beats that we wanted, that was really easy to kind of churn through the prompt stuff. When it came to the other host lines, I needed to learn a lot of like slow down, say your lines very clearly, and be very deliberate about the words that need to get across, because especially after my voice got processed with like the little robot overlay, which we did throughout the game, it became even more important to say things clearly so that could still come through even over the overlay. But 3 takes. If it was any more than 3 takes, then it was like, let's take a break. Let's just skip this one.
Round 1. You should do well here.
I love that the word quicksort has developed in-game to mean anything. So there's so many prompts that the writers have written, like where they just replace words with the word quicksort, where one prompt was about Kevin's. So the prompt title was, "We need to quicksort about Kevin." That doesn't mean anything, but it's very funny to me. Party Pack 9 is full of what I consider to be really interesting new ideas and a lot of called shots that we always talk about at Jackbox. Like when we're making a game, there are lots of games that are pitched that are excellent games, but you have to find a reason for why this game should be digital. Throughout the pack, we've taken some risks that are so fun and so interesting that you won't find anywhere else. Like Quicksort is trivia Tetris. Where else would you find that? It's an amazing idea, and the execution of every game is so smooth and polished and beautiful. Like the entire production process this year has been so creatively interesting, and we're doing lots of things. Like even with our sequel, we're taking a lot of interesting angles and risks. Putting live video and footage is a risk, so we're taking a lot of not sitting on our laurels, doing new and interesting things that I hope that people will like. I hope so. You should buy it.